I hate to do this to you. I really do. But last time we had made a video about this guy, we talked about how there was so many teams that had the opportunity to draft him, but they just didn't. Either because you're like Steve Yzerman and you decided to draft somebody else in the same position instead, or you're a team like the Oilers that straight up refused to draft him in the first place. This player, Minnesota Wild prospect Jesper Wallstedt, playing in the Iowa Wild right now and doing extraordinarily well, had himself an interview the other day that goes out there and articulates just where he had thought he would end up. And I'm not gonna lie, man, as a tertiary Red Wings fan, it kinda hurts, but I don't know, is that really for me to decide for you? You can let me know in the comments if this hurts as much for you as it does for me. But last time we had talked about this guy, Jesper Wallstedt, we made a video talking about how good he was in the AHL. Long story short, he's phenomenal. Like, we have not seen a guy do this well, this early in this hockey league at this stage of his career in ages, it feels like. Wallstedt is a 20-year-old goaltender. He was drafted out of the 2021 draft, 20th overall by Minnesota, and this season in the AHL, he's got a .913 save percentage and a .260 goals against, which gets a lot better when you acknowledge in his last 5 games, he's got himself a .926 save percentage, which is very, very good. Now, the thing with Wallstedt was that he was the projected first overall, not draft pick, but first overall goalie from the 2021 draft selection, although, as we noted in the video a few weeks ago, he was not the first goalie taken off the board. That honor belongs to Sebastian Cossa, who was selected by the Red Wings just a few picks earlier at the 15th overall spot. Cossa was a guy in the WHL who was really good in that season's worth of play, and as a result, because he's a Canadian kid, because he's a little bit bigger, he was given the edge in the Red Wings draft rankings, and now if you take a look at it, I mean, Jesper Wallstedt was good in Sweden the entire time leading up to the draft. He was great after getting drafted, and now he's phenomenal in the AHL. Sebastian Cossa is barely treading water right now in the ECHL. And it's only been 2 years since the draft. These guys are only 20 years old. It's definitely not fair to make conclusions about guys and their entire careers only 2 years after they had been drafted. But right now, it's very clear to see that on the race of development, who's going to go out there and make an immediate NHL impact first, the cards are a lot more in Jesper Wallstedt's favor compared to Kossa's. That doesn't mean that one day Cossa can't overtake Wallstedt and be the better goalie. It's just, right now, it's looking a lot more like the second goalie in the draft is better than the first. But this is where things get really interesting, because if you go over to Joe Smith's most recent article in The Athletic, Jesper Wallstedt Unmasked, Meet the Wild's future number 1, their ace in the hole, you have yourself some quotes that really make things feel bad for the Red Wings fans out there who are looking at this guy and seeing how good he is. This article is behind a paywall, as is all Athletic material, so I will leave a link in the description if you want to go ahead and read this yourself. But this article was indeed posted on the Red Wings subreddit for a very peculiar reason, and I wanted to showcase some of the quotes, because these quotes from Wallstedt himself going over the situation with Detroit kind of illuminate a different angle that we hadn't really seen for the past 2 years ever since the draft had come and gone. This is the post on the Red Wings subreddit. The Red Wings had around 10 interviews with Wallstedt, and a few of them included Steve Yzerman, prior to selecting Cossa in the 2021 draft. Here's the relevant section. Salamangra goes out there and says, Wallstedt thought that he was going to be a Red Wing. The 2021 NHL Draft was virtual due to the virus, and Wallstedt was paying attention back in Sweden. A bunch of teams showed interest, but Wallstedt had had the most interaction with Detroit. He estimated he had about 10 conversations, including a handful with GM Steve Yzerman, who talked to Wallstedt's parents as well. So when the Wings traded up to 15 to make their second pick of the first round, Wallstedt was ready. I thought they'd take me for sure, he said. Instead, the Wings selected another goalie, Sebastian Cossa from the WHL. That was tough on me, he said. Do I want to do this to myself? Amazing Steve goes out there and comments, I think Wallstedt will end up the better tendy, and the Wings should have picked him over Cossa. And this reply goes out there and rationalizes things. Majora's Shoe says, it's all a gamble at the draft, especially for goalies. Steve's estimate likely matched some of the better public scouting reports, but with maybe more details and personality tacked on. Wallstedt looked to be the better goalie now. Kosa looked to have the highest chance of being one of those unicorn franchise goalies with the right development and time to cook. Let him cook. They're still 19 and 20 years old, so it's too early to say anything at all, but Wallstedt looking like a solid NHL-bound goalie and Kosa looking like he has a lot more weaknesses to work on and needs more time to cook is exactly the roadmap everyone paying attention expected. Thinking that Wallstedt is or was the right choice isn't something that should be battled. It's a numbers game. He's by far the safer prospect. Steve took a big swing, I can respect that, and he knew at the podium that this could all blow up in his face, and the odds of it being the wrong pick was likely higher than it was being the right pick. So the reward, if it is the right pick, was likely estimated to being massive. And that's a nice comment to go out there and acknowledge, because it does rationalize the perspective as to why Stevie Y might have taken a guy like Kosa instead of Wallstedt. If you want to talk about ceiling, there are a lot of comments in this individual comment section saying that Kosa has the higher ceiling, etc., etc., but like, I don't know, in my opinion, I always kind of felt that Wallstedt had that franchise goaltender potential anyway, so seeing that there's a potential ceiling argument doesn't really strike me all too much as it appears it does to other Red Wings fans in this comment section, but it is kind of disheartening hearing that the Red Wings put so much investment into trying to see if there was a fit there, going so far as to talking to the guy's parents, and only to trade up and take the other guy? Oh man. Stevie Y has made some pretty big hits over the past few years in the draft. The biggest one, of course, the first pick he had made. Moritz Seider was supposed to be a pick in the mid-first round, but nah, he was taken 6th overall. It was a shock to everybody, and now it's looking like the right move. Is this Sebastian Kosa, no Jesper Wallstedt thing, going to be another one of those types of moves? I'm not sure. There are a lot more comments in the comment section of this Athletic post on Reddit, so I'll leave a link both to the article as well as the thread, so if you want to read what some other Red Wings fans have to say about this, it's going to be pretty interesting. But I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Jesper Wallstedt thing, how he thought he was going to be a Red Wing heading into the draft, and once that draft pick was traded over to Detroit, he thought right then and there, okay, ready, I'm gonna be a wing, I'm gonna go over to Motown, where Swedish legends like Lidstrom and Kronwall and Raymond have all made their presence known. Mikael Samuelsson, throw him in there as well. Zetterberg, lots of good Swedes playing for the Red Wings over the years, and hey, Jesper Wallstedt could be the best one in net. It's just, yeah, no, it didn't happen, sorry buddy, the WHL guy got selected instead, and now Kosa is admittedly on a pretty okay path. It's just, when you compare the two side by side right now, you could definitely see that one is progressing at a lot faster of a rate than the other, but you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as to whether or not this was the right move. Links, as we said, are down there. I hope you enjoyed this Jesper Wallstedt 99, and bye.